Alright. Okay. Welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner, classic, known classic. This is episode number 3101, Doubleshot number 2995. First up we have is the penultimate trade for Ben Percy's run for Wolverine. Wolverine by Ben Percy, Volume 8, Sabretooth War. Part 1. This contains the first 5 of the 10-part finale for this run. Yes, this is 41 to 45. And when I finish this run, I'm once again updated with Wolverine trades for the main Wolverine series until when they release the first trade for the very next volume. So, by the way, Victor Lavelle, which I believe this guy wrote the Sabretooth and Exiles miniseries, so that's why this is a continuation of that. And this also picks up right after X-Force Volume 6, number 50. Artwork in this book is for 41 has 4 artists in this issue. We have Jeffrey Shaw. Actually, it's like 3 artists. You have Jeffrey Shaw, Corey's. Actually, it's 2 artists. Just 2 artists. So, Jeffrey Shaw does artwork with Corey Smith in 41. 43 and 45 does by himself. Corey Smith does 42, 44. So, we start off with basically Wolverine about to attack Sabretooth, and Sabretooth basically about to kill X-Force. And he's surrounded by the decapitated heads of alternate Wolverines and alternate Sabretooths. Yes, because this is a continuation of Sabretooth and the Exiles. So yes, this storyline picked up where 3 different comic books. Actually, 2 different comics left off. You're like, really? Yes, really. So we start in part 1, where in North Pole, this is the current base operations for X-Force. Not Corp, basically in North Pole. So you have Black Tom Cassidy using his tree powers to communicate with Quentin Guterres right in Marsic. And then we cut to a space station where the bridge looks like the bridge of the Enterprise. Well, very cramped. Actually, no, this reminds me of Defiant. Yeah, this reminds me of Defiant. Does that look like the Defiant bridge to you, kind of, but being cramped? Yeah. By the way, despite the fact this is set during the whole Fallout X stuff, it really has nothing to do with Fallout X. Not at all. I think Ben Percy I think he knew this was going on. So, okay, let's set during this whole thing. Let's have nothing to do with this whole. Let's have nothing to do with it. Then we have the Sabretooth robbery at Kokora, where the place is in ruins. And you have Sabretooth basically even going to the Quiet Council chamber room, where the last time he set foot in here was back in finale. I believe it was in one of the 2 miniseries that kicked off the whole thing, where he was imprisoned. Yeah, the place, of course, is abandoned. So, of course, they had Quinton fighting Sentinels. And then the issue ends with an Ultimate version of Wolverine, who actually is able to killing Quinton Quintire, and him and his body being consumed by the other Wolverines. We also see Doc being confronted by another Wolverine, which actually is the 6160 Wolverine. So they go to Kokora, where then they proceed to have the war with Sabretooth. Yep, they send Beacon out. Then they come there, and then they go straight north. And then we cut to North Pole. We have Domino and Laura. Yep. And Wolverine in his, in my opinion, I think he should have worn his X-Force costume. Yes. Yeah, he probably should have. And then, of course, basically, this guy here is killed by Sabretooth, this random guy. And, well, and then the issue ends with Wolverine seeing a bunch of dead body parts, spelling out, "Happy birthday." Okay, there is an explanation for this of why Wolverine doesn't like celebrate his birthday very much. It's because one of the reasons is because Sabretooth killed Silver Fox, a woman she was dating, and yeah, Quincy got cut off here, along with Dawkins. Yes. And we also see alternate versions of the X-Men killed off in this issue in the flashback. Yeah, and they all killed by Sabretooth. Yeah. Yeah, and pretty much like I said, basically, this is a continue from X-Force 50. This is where they next appear in this very book. And also Sabretooth and the Exiles. Jumping straight over to the next issue, where Sabretooth Wolverine is going through all these ultimate Sabretooth with no heads. And of course, Laura's like, hey, we're having a gift. And look at Blueprint and the Sentinels, and then Wolverine shows up again. And then we have Wolverine versus Sabretooth. And then the Ultimate Sabretooth show up. And when it was Captain America, and of course he tried to kill Colossus. Yes, frick Colossus. Then we have Wolverine getting strung up by somebody. MC Various Mutants X-Force helped out. Wolverine frees himself. Fights off the other Sabretooths. One who got glasses. And where, like, Laura gets captured. And his blood is his birthday present. Now, who dies in this issue? Because this storyline has massive amount of deaths. Okay, so they kill the pretty boy Sabretooth of Earth 12. Yep. And of course, yes, they get help him offline in this issue. So yeah, basically we can confirm he died in this issue. Then we get flashback to their time with Team X, which was a team that Wolverine was part of before the X-Men. By the way, Pretty Boy Sabretooth, I believe he debuted in Sabretooth and the Exiles. Excuse me, yes. Oh, by the way, that Earth 12 counterpart, they debuted in Exiles #1. So you see it goes out and kills and fights all to version himself in this massive brawl, and Laura's watching this. We have a flashback of Team X to take out some drug dealers. Yeah, and then we have this hologram thing with this. And apparently inside this box, I believe this is supposed to be Quentin. Yeah, Quentin is still alive, but in a box. And then Heidi shows up here because she's part of the Exiles group. Yep. And Nakura is here because, of course, this is a continuation from that book. So, yeah, the Exiles pop up here. And then we see, looks like, oh gosh, the Savage Sabretooth, who's a woman with sideburns, proceeds to remove Laura's jaw. Yep. Oh, don't worry, she'll grow it back because she's getting the factor. And of course, came from there. I'm surprised Sabretooth doesn't try to sleep with his Ultra counterpart. And then we have Nakura, who, by the way, despite being a mutant, she technically has nothing to do with the X-Men. Not really. Oh, and the reason for it? Because she's a character who is sort of a, how should I put this? She's basically a Marvel Universe. She's like a film for everybody. So, yeah, a flashback to And then the issue ends with Sabretooth looking at the head of Quentin Quintire. And moving on to issue 44, where the people with the X-Force taken care of were killed by Sabretooth. Wolverine is barely alive. His factor is not exactly, well, basically he ends up sewing his hand back on, but luckily enough, basically Sage moves quickly enough to restore his hands and his feet. So, of course, Cap Sabretooth basically is still alive. X-Force chases after him, and of course, he ends up basically trying to kill Domino and try to shoot some other X-Force, of course, shoots at Wolverine, but that doesn't work. Wolverine kills him instantly. Actually, I know he actually is still alive. So they interrogate him. Or where the heck basically everybody is. Yeah. And then we see his blonde girl show up here. And it's Phoebe. Yes, the girl who Quentin was in love with. And she looks into this Ultimate Sabretooth's mind and figures out exactly what he's up to. And Sabretooth powers revenge for trapping him. And then apparently Wolverine opens up the present Laura gave him, and it's a world's best dad bug. And a letter it says, "Over a century, maybe see that you're trying and mean something. Happy birthday, XO X23, Laura, aka the best Wolverine." I thought that was kind of funny. I love that. And I'm sure it's probably Ben Percy probably sticking his nose at some editors at Marvel Comics. Hey, yeah, the fact that Laura is the best Wolverine. And I'm sure he's probably on the side of the creators of Laura and probably agreeing, yes, taking away her identity as Wolverine after the original Wolverine came back was a mistake. So all this trouble with Wolverine, and so then of course they proceed to have and Wolverine hijacks the Quinjet by himself and goes straight to Krakoa. Yep. By the way, Quentin's alive in issue 44 because he's in the box. 44. We get the death of Cap Victor Creed. Yes. Who debuted in the final issue of Sabretooth and the Exiles. And his is like the only death we get here. And then moving on to 45. Where the Exiles turn against. And then Sabretooth brings the head of Quentin Quintire to Krakoa. Look at that. We see Mystique, but it's not actually Mystique. It's just it's an impersonation. And then the Exiles use their boat to fly into Krakoa. And then they're stopped by a Stark Sentinel. And of course, basically looking at Forge's lab. Then he takes on a robot here. And probably points to something in particular. And then Savage Sabretooth. Who's this one gets a female version of Sabretooth. I mean, she looks like so beautiful. So sexy. Yes, I get the fact she's a female version of basically a male character, but she's hot. No denying that. But I think it's kind of weird that, okay, it's a female version of Sabretooth, and they have to have the sideburns. Yes, sideburns. Something. It's very weird seeing that, basically, for her. Yep, and then this guy in the suit shows up, who's actually just the shapeshifter. And of course, continuing how sexy this ultimate version of Wolverine, this Savage Sabretooth is, of course, then shows up in a mask, and the Exiles basically do their own thing, and of course they drag this into space, and then Wolverine goes to Krakoa, his ship gets destroyed, and he's on run from the Stark Sentinels, and he's looking for their base, and then of course he comes across an area, and then the issue ends with a flashback to Wolverine and Sabretooth's time with Team X, and that's it. So, no denying, the first half of the story is amazing. Yes, it makes it a little bit something corrupt, but excuse me, I kind of thought this though that was probably editorial mandate. He probably squeezed that stuff in, like it's sorry for the Stark Sentinels, but the stuff with the Exile stuff, I'm sure he was working with the writer of that book just so he include him in this book, because this book basically contains 2 different books. Here's the weird thing about these issues. These issues were published around the same time as the final issue of X-Force, so they practically end at the same time, but chronologically, issue 50 of X-Force takes place before the start of the storyline. But next time talking about this book, it will be the final trade for this run, and I'll talk about some interesting little fun facts this one. But I'm going to give Sabretooth by Ben Percy, Volume 8, Sabretooth War, Part 1, a 10 out of 10, because this was so good. Alright, next up we have is, believe it or not, Iceman Volume 3, Amazing Friends. This is the final trade, actually second to last trade discussed for Iceman. Yes, it's written by Sonia Grace, and it's almost like basically the bullcrap we have. Previous volume is not even here. It's like the whole gayness stuff basically that heavily drove in the last book. It's like it's here, but it's really toned down to 1. It is a little bit there. Yeah, Sonia Grace, the writer who basically infamously put his foot in his mouth on Twitter. I keep bringing it up because he seriously did. If you look up basically his Twitter, I've heard that he did do this. I'm not sure when, but he did do this. I remember hearing about this back in I think it was like 2016. I think it was. I found out he did this. We have Nathan Stockman on the artwork, the cover artwork. For mostly, by the way, this book contains the third volume for Iceman, which is actually 4th volume for Iceman, which is 5 issues, plus it includes X Winters and which is Ice one shot, which Grace does do writing for that one. The artwork for that one, the cover art is done by, for the main Iceman issues, is W. Scott Forbes. Winters End, it's Javier Gorin and Romulo Figueroa Jr. So, in this miniseries, he starts out with Iceman on his ice slide, just saving this woman from a fire. I'm like, okay, interesting. And some of the Morlocks, and of course you have Iceman trying to see his class. You could see this book as kind of a continuation of the previous volume of Iceman, but I'm sure that probably Sonia Grace probably was told, hey, can you turn the gayness down that basically people didn't like about the last book? Because I'm sure a lot of people gave him a lot of criticism on Twitter for all the gay stuff, the stuff related to the sexuality for Iceman. It's like that was the main giant force of that book. This book, it's like, it's there on a mild note. I still think basically Out of Him as Gay was one of Marvel's worst decisions they've made in the past, like, 15 years. One of the most worst ones. And he trains him with Golem, Kitty Pryde. This is, of course, when she's still in charge of the Xavier to Central Park. So, I would say this is before the Age of X-Men stuff. I would say just before that. I believe that's when this book came out. Because remember that came out, like, let's see, it was, 2018. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and of course there's a reference in this book to Kitty and Colossus' attempted wedding. Yeah, they do mention it here. Oh, and then it becomes a buddy cop job with him and Bishop. And no, Iceman does not try to seduce Bishop. Which, thank you for not doing it. Also, for some reason, Iceman's uniform. Like, what is up with the outfit? Like, here's the weird thing about Iceman. He's never had the definitive costume. Not really. You probably think, when did he start wearing this costume? Because a lot of the time when you see him, he's in Iceman form. You don't really see him outside the ice suit very much. Like, I think this was his outfit from, like, the... kind of think of it basically like... That's the weird thing about Iceman over the years. A lot of the time, we can't really tell what uniform he's wearing. And I'm guessing this uniform was designed by Jim Lee, given the design. Also, they do reference in these issues Bishop's return from Astonishing X-Men, the Charles Shaw book, which is awesome. Yeah, but they reference that just for the very next page. And they also reference Mojo World. Yeah, the Mojo World crossover with X-Men Blue, which is awesome. So you have stuff going in the Morlock tunnels. And fighting Morlocks and Iceman just whatever he wants. By the way, in case you're wondering though, does this Iceman have a boyfriend in this book? He does, except he dates him for a couple pages, then he just breaks up with him because he decided to call the police. And also, at one point, he gets involved with Emma Frost in these issues. And for some reason, Sunday Grace decided to have it where a character who has nothing to do with Iceman, nothing, absolutely freaking nothing with him, is appearing in this book because, I guess because Marvel had nothing for him to do, because it's had to include Mr. Sinister for some reason. Don't know why, but they did. And the Mental Mutant Massacre, you have Jubilee here, where she's back at her regular outfit. This is, of course, for her. I think this is just after Generation X ended. Then we have where Emma talks to Iceman to free her brother. The same man who Iceman would date briefly during the core era for X-Men. Yep. And then we have this image of Emma Frost with curls in her hair and wearing a t-shirt that says Emma Frost, which is a classic X-Men line. Emma Frost a jerk, which is a take on Professor Xavier as a jerk. So, and Kitty Pryde is here, obviously, and of course, well, and then we see, well, Emma Frost's father got killed off in issue 2. Yes, he is found dead. It's weird, though. The fact that a character that Grant Morrison created because he decided to expand Emma Frost's family. By the way, in case you're curious, though, when did Christian Frost show up? Same issue. How about Emma Frost's sisters? Ardeline Frost. She debuted in Generation X number 48. Get killed off toward the end of the book. Cordelia Frost debuted Generation X number 3. And then she got killed off in an issue of Marauders. In the issue that came out just after the Sword of X story. The X of Swords. Yeah, it's like, as soon as this crossover wrapped up, it's like, oh yeah, basically Emma Frost had her sister die. And as of currently, almost her entire family is gone. Her mom, however, is still very much alive. And it's kind of weird, though. Basically, her father and her mother are basically not mutants. Yeah, so apparently, like, Christian Frost killed his father, and in the course, basically, like, apparently he was abusive to his own son. And there's stuff related to Emma. Well, a lot of Frost drama here that Sonya Grace had to include in here just cause. And it's kind of weird, though, the fact that of all the Frost family, only her mom and basically her brother are still left alive. And then the issue ends with Mr. torturing some person. Oh, it's actually a new character, Ash, who's the brother of someone named Midian. Original character for this book. Mm-hmm. The main torture in issue 3. This is where they introduce Iceman's new boyfriend. Yeah, and there's stuff here with Redhead, and this Redhead turned out to be Firestar. Yep, because of the reunion of the Amazing Friends. And Spider-Man's here too. Because why not? This actually is the second time in recent memory these three teamed up. They also teamed up in an issue of Amazing X-Men. And it was a terrible issue. Yeah, and then they have this. It's a great team up they have. It's great to see Spider-Man appear in an Iceman book, which I think the first time he's ever appeared in an Iceman book, because he didn't appear in the previous volume of the book, he didn't appear in the first volume, and I don't think he appeared in the second volume. This was the first time he ever appeared in an Iceman book. A guy he's been longtime friends with, and he appears in his book. And it was fun to hear Iceman is basically just chillaxing with Firestar. In case you're curious, though, like, is Firestar still active in the Marvel Comics universe? Not currently. Actually, she is. She's part of the West Coast Avengers. Yeah, because after the Fall of X stuff, she basically became West Avengers, which she's still part of the organization. Yep. By issue 5, basically, she's still part of the group. I guess why not? Yeah. And basically they discuss breaking him out and break your brother out of jail, and Kitty Pryde's here. And of course she's obviously Weber's ex-boyfriend. And we have, get this, we have Iceman riding a scooter, a basic scooter, with a meatball sub in his hand, and he's eating meatball sub over Forge's console. Can I eat that slap over my keyboard? Yeah, carb loading. And then we have Minister dancing for reasons. You have Dazzler at the concert with this other lady here working with her. Shade, and I believe that yeah, they decided to have her appear in Winter's End, which came out right we'll talk about next, and she appeared maybe a couple more times after this, and that's been it for her. And she's a drag queen. Yes, she's a drag queen, because why not? about mutant pride and more Morlock stuff here. And we have a little reference here to the 80s. Iceman with a little belt around his waist, which, even though just a lot, just a brace, yes. If all these are cult fake ones, and it turns to the one that Sinister think he's captured is now the very Iceman. And, well, it's over the next issue that, yeah, this actually was not Iceman. Nope, it was, in fact, an imposter. Yep, so, and then we have Iceman with his boyfriend here, which brings me in the book. And then appears by Nightcrawler, who's got a beard, and he apparently put on about 10 pounds of muscle. Yes. Because why not? And we have Morlock attacking our people here. They have Christian basically is like being scolded by his own hot sister Emma Frost, who changes in her black X-Men outfit for reasons. Ice vs. Mr. Sinister. They kind of have the story up there. And then, of course, they reference... This is where they reference X-Men 30, which was the 10th wedding of Kitty Pryde and Colossus, which turned to be the wedding of Gambit and Rogue. And then we have Old Man Master, which is basically Iceman from the future. And for some reason, this book continues over in Winter's End. Excuse me. Yeah, for some reason, they decided to do this. This guy's called Ice Master. Woo. Yeah, he actually was part of a alternate version of X-Men from the future. Yeah, it's like, for some strange reason, I'm not sure why, they decided to have this be a follow-up to Battle of the Atom. Yes. Because Iceman, of course, they save people here. And this is the issue where Iceman makes up his new boyfriend he's got in the book. And apparently, in the future, Iceman decided to start a relationship with, of all people, Daken. Why in the world that Sony Grace thought this was a good idea? I have no freaking idea. This is a terrible idea. And they're like, oh, look, confronted by Deathbird and Eric the Red. You're like, who's Eric the Red? I mean, Deathbird, people know who he is. Eric the Red is a Shi'ar commander who was stationed on Earth. And apparently he was a minor thing. He was a minor position for the Shi'ar. But basically, when he was brought in, he was basically there to step the Shi'ar. Though he himself was named after a Norwegian explorer called Eric the Red. Yeah. And this future version of him here. And apparently this guy here dated Daken. But in case you're curious though, what about the Prime Universe Eric Red? He is somehow still alive? Yeah, he has not appeared in X Comics in years. I mean, after he appeared in the 70s, he popped up a couple of X-Men in the 90s, issues of Captain Marvel, X-Men Legends. His last known appearance was in Marauders Volume 2, Number 3. Yeah, that was the last time he appeared. Yeah. Though, of course, Deathbird herself gets killed off in this future version of her. Yep. And the Ice Master gets killed off in this special because it's like the whole, pretty much the whole point of this special is to be an epilogue to this miniseries. And fights whoever, and then the whole thing is all about building up to his birthday. And we see a guy hanging out, of course, Ice Master, then later dies. And apparently, like, oh, someone thanking for a birthday gift. And then we have a profile thing of Dark Devil, who refers to as Shade. And that's it. Yeah. What do you think of this book? It's definitely better than the previous 5. It's definitely 100 times better. I definitely think it's definitely improvement of the previous Iceman volume. Give it roughly a 8 out of 10. Yep. I would do one more video, but it's kind of late here, so I'm going to here and do my One Piece 2 tomorrow with Blue Exorcist. And of course also for Super Sentai. So please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn notifications, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.